Hey, what's up, champions? Welcome to Growth Mode. I'm your host, Donnie Bovine, and I'm the CEO and founder of Success Champions. I geek out in all things sales and learning how to get better at that game, and I've spent over 20 years doing it. And now I've spent the last 3.5, almost 4 years running my businesses and learning how to scale and go bigger. One of the greatest joys I have is teaching other people to do the same thing. Hanging out with me, as always, is my buddy Kevin Snow, a sales and automation tactician and genius. This guy is a methodical beast on processes, systems, and all the boring shit behind the scenes of a business. On this show, guys, we talk everything about helping people to grow and scale and get bigger with everything they're doing in business. Kevin, on this episode, what the heck are we talking about?
So today we're going to talk about something that happens to every salesperson out there, whether you're corporate sales or the business owner. We're going to talk about how to stop getting ghosted by prospects.
All right, I get to get riled up on this one because
So,
I'll full warn you guys, this is not going to be a fun episode for some of you.
well, and I think it's gotten worse since we've done the whole let's all work from home thing. Because it was, when I was coming to your office, it's really hard for you to ghost me. But now that it's all Zoom, I think it's a lot easier for people to fail to show up.
Well, I have a lot of theories, and I usually bust your chops. So I'm going to leave that one for a minute. But here's the thing, guys, and I will try and say some of this gentle, even though it's not always my nature. If you're getting ghosted, it's your own fucking fault, right? At the end of the day, if people aren't showing up to meetings, if they're not coming to agreed times to sit down and talk to you on Zoom or face-to-face, whatever, that's 100% on you. And a couple of things are probably coming into play on this one. Number one, you're probably coming across as a jackass salesperson, and they feel like they're fixing to be fucking sold. And look, at the end of the day, everybody loves buying shit. We do it all the time, and we buy things, stupid, random stuff all the time, and that's why most people have money issues, is because you're buying stupid shit, right? So we love to buy. We just fucking hate being sold to, right? If you try and sell me, I'm fucking out. I don't want to be sold to. Let's have a conversation. So I think, and this isn't a fail-safe, but I'm going to tell you 99% of the time, if somebody ghosted you, is because they feel like either the conversation has no value or you're going to try and fucking sell them something. And it's really that simple. Because think about it. If you scheduled a meeting with somebody, what would be the only reasons you wouldn't show up? There would have to be a family tragedy. You'd have to be a dumbass like I do sometimes and double book yourself. That happens, right? And I'll send Kevin and Chad a message all the time like, fuck, I got double booked myself again. Although it's gotten a lot better recently. But too many calendars not talking to each other.
Now that you said something, I know what my message inbox will look like all next week.
Right? But God bearing, a tornado taking out my house, I'll be at the meeting, whatever's scheduled. So, and I think, respectfully, most people are that way. If there's a meeting on their calendar, by God, they're going to be there. And the only reason you wouldn't be there... Now, I'm not going to be a jackass and just ghost somebody. I'm sure I've done it accidentally in the past, unintentionally, but I'm never going to ghost somebody. I mean, if I set a fucking meeting, I'm going to take the damn meeting. Yep. Now, I may end that meeting quickly if the dude or gal turns into be a fucking jackass. But I'm going to take that meeting. So, most times, people are going to sit down with you.
So, I remember... I remember when I was a new corporate salesperson and doing the telemarketing thing, and this was, back in the 90s. So, the whole goal of telemarketing was to get appointment, and me just kind of being new to the sales thing was really using the aggressive sales tactics on those telemarketing calls. So I'd have people who would set an appointment with me just to get me off the phone.
Yeah.
And then when I'd show up at their office, they'd had to rush off or do something. It's happened. But once I figured out, back to your point of if you're getting ghosted, it's because you're a jackass comment. I think that's part of it. It can be. Once I figured out how to set appointments so that people were excited for the appointment, I stopped having that issue, unless there was that act of God.
Right. Right, and I think that's the nail on the head. Is you've got to start setting appointments where people are excited about showing up, or they're at least interested in showing up.
So, what's your opinion on the different techniques that some sales trainers will teach about how to lock down a appointment and do the confirmations?
It would depend on the tactic. Most of them are cheese, dick, and dumb. And they're shit that were used 100 years ago. For me, I want to create the least amount of barrier to get on somebody's calendar, and very quickly be able to have that focused conversation. I'll flip it. I get motherfuckers reaching out to me all the time that want to sit down, try and sell me something, and instantly it's going to be nothing but a sales call, right?
Yep.
And I'm not interested in doing business with somebody that's just a sales call, right? You got to understand my world. I've got to want to do business with you. I'm all for looking at new tech, new processes, new systems, new whatever. But if it's just a sale, I got no value, because anybody I get engaged with from a business standpoint, we're going to be doing business for quite a while. We're probably going to be spending some time together. So I don't want to be sold because, one, I won't buy. But two, I don't want to work with somebody I know jack shit about. I'm a relationship sales guy. And if you're going to sell something to me, you better be fucking ready to do the small talk, because that's part of the fucking game all the way through. But, The simple things to keep from being ghosted is to ask them why they're taking the fucking meeting in the first place. Why are we sitting down? Let them tell you. Ask them specifically, what are they hoping that we accomplish during the meeting? Right? It's amazing that the more qualifying you can do that it makes sense to have that meeting before you sit down to have that meeting, the more likelihood that meeting is going to actually happen. It's when you do some of these old school sales tactics like, does Tuesday at 3 or Friday at 4 work fucking better for you? Fuck off. Go get an autoscheduler. Nobody wants to sit and do the fucking back and forth to get on the calendar. Go get Acuity or go get Calendly and make it fucking easy for them to get on your damn calendar. Don't do the what's going on Tuesday at 3 bullshit. It's just annoying and nobody wants to do it anymore. Unless they're, 100 years old and still don't know how to use computers. And I think you got to put your cards on the table and tell them what your expectations and what you want to accomplish on that call are. Be upfront, guys, and honest and real, and quit ducking and dodging these conversations, because the minute you duck and dodge, you're going to come across like that jackass greaseball salesperson that nobody wants to do business with. And I always follow the rule. If you feel like you're being a salesperson, you're fucking being a salesperson. Knock it off.
I don't, when I set appointments with clients, most of them are referrals, and they've reached out to me and said, hey, can we meet? I'm like, yep, definitely. Here's my link.
Yeah.
Pick a time that works for you. But I don't do any personal confirmations for them. I don't send out, hey, just a reminder, we're meeting tomorrow.
No, I don't either.
I'm of the mindset that these are adults that own businesses. They should be able to manage their calendar. Ideally, I have a couple friends who are not so good at managing their calendar. That getting on their appointments is annoying as hell right now for me. If he's listening to this, he'll know who he is, Joe. But for the most part, I expect my clients to be adults and act like adults.
Yeah, no, I agree with that wholeheartedly, and I do the same thing. Zoom may send out a reminder for them, but it's not me. I mean, it's an automated thing. But yeah, you're not going to get a text message from me. You're not going to get that reach out that says, hey, we're scheduled to meet at Tuesday. Is that still good? I mean, I always look at it is we set a meeting. It was out of respect for each other to go have a conversation. Let's fucking honor that time. And I think most people truly come across that way. I think where it really becomes an issue is when people, are on the sales move and they've come across like a freaking jackass and they've forced somebody into a meeting that they didn't want to do in the first place. So, it's really a how you're coming across, how you're communicating, will lead to ghosting. I think I had more. I'm just the opposite of you, Kevin. I had more trouble when it was face to face, and I was having to get to sit down meetings than I do with Zoom. I think it's just so much easier to jump on a Zoom call now for me. But I can also see how people could get ghosted. I just don't get ghosted. And not without some sort of like family issue or something going on.
I don't either anymore either. At least not so much. To me, if I get ghosted, especially if I'm working at home, I'm like, sweet, extra hour of the day to do something. But then it's also like they're self-qualifying themselves for us. If someone doesn't show up at a meeting, it's like, all right, how are they going to be if they're actually a client?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So it's like, all right, that's fine. And depending on who it is and where we're at in the relationship, I may reach out and say, hey, hope everything's all right. We were supposed to meet this morning at 10, but a lot of time I won't. And I'll wait and see if they're going to follow up or not and say, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Dude,
what's going on?
You're nicer about it because I'll send out, dude, what the fuck? Here we were, I look at it this way. You're busy, I'm fucking busy. So if I gave you an hour of my time, fucking be there. If you don't, you just told me that I'm unimportant in your world, cool. We'll act that way. Now, I do have the benefit of the doubt. I do respect people and know shit happens. I've fucked up. I had a guy that reached out to me not too long ago, and I double booked my meeting, and I didn't see it till the last minute. And although I sent him a message saying my apologies, I'm double booked, he came back, and it was a very professionally written email and said, "Look, dude, out of respect for our time, I'm a busy person too, and when I schedule appointments, telling me the minute the appointment meets that you can't be there is a disrespectful move." And I was in that meeting, and about 30 minutes later, he comes back to me and goes, "Man, I'm sorry that came across a little bit harsh in saying that." And I looked at my meeting and that I was in, and I paused. I said, "Give me 1 second." And I instantly replied to the guy, and I said, "No, dude, you're 100% spot on. I completely disrespected your time by not doing this, and I'm surprised you came across so lenient and gentle in your reply, telling me I'm a fucking asshole." And he goes, "Dude, I'm so glad you see it that way. Here's a link to get back on my calendar." And that's real because I was 100% an asshole in that move. It was 100% my fault. And I think that goes back to how we started this thing. If you're getting ghosted, guys, that's you. That's on you. And you need to figure out where you're coming across desperate. You need to figure out where you're coming across as a salesperson. You need to figure out how you're coming across as a jackass and change that shit. And I think most times if you're coming across as any of those three, it's because you're in such a desperation mode to grow your business because you're living paycheck to paycheck. You're living, sales to sales. that you are doing these horrible moves that people don't want to be around and engage with.
So I think the other thing that people need to look at, I totally agree. The most times it's because you're a jack off and you deserve to get ghosted because of how you're setting up the appointments, interacting with people. But sometimes it's because you are targeting the wrong group of people.
Yeah, for sure.
And you need to look at the quality of people that you're targeting with whatever you're doing to get those appointments and say, are these the right people? Is this a actual characteristic of this target? Do I need to shift who I'm working with and get a higher quality clientele?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And guys, if you go after shit clients, you're going to have shit clients. So, but at the end of the day, guys, just understand that you need to set real meetings, respect other people's times, show up. And if you're getting ghosted a lot, figure it out why or where you're fucking up. And as always, guys, if you got any value out of this episode or this show as a whole, do us a favor, make sure you're subscribed or following the show, and please help somebody else by telling them how to subscribe or follow the show. It would mean everything for us. Till next time, see ya.